life. And Shekhar Iyer, you've covered the man, you've covered the party, you've seen how it, very simple man. When I traveled on those trips as a young reporter, you know, sometimes when you are go for the first time on a PM's plane, you just see, you know, you're overwhelmed with what you see. The big editors sitting there having their champagne and caviar. Yes, that is what was served in the media section. And some of us uninitiated people wouldn't even know what caviar was. We didn't come from those kind of backgrounds to appreciate caviar and champagne. But we saw all of that happening, and then I just happened, the nosy reporter in me just wanted to check on what the Prime Minister was going to have. And if I tell you the inside, it was just some baked Gaya that he was having. You know, that was really Dr. Manmohan Singh. Simple, living to those very simple food. He had become the Prime Minister. He had everything for the asking, but was having his very, very humble Gaya and khichdi that he was having. And on the other side, you know, the system as it existed. And it is this gap between Dr. Manmohan Singh and the system that I want to ask you about, Shekhar Iyer. Was that something that he rode over very well? And finally, was it the system that was the undoing of Dr. Manmohan Singh? How do you see the life and times of Dr. Manmohan Singh as the Prime Minister?
Tavika, today, if we are able to connect to him, if we are able to see a lot of us in him, that's largely because he believed in one philosophy, which we often say to ourselves, "Jo mil gaya, usko Muqaddar Samajh Liya." So he was a man who had stayed too long in Delhi and knew the Delhi political system, where he felt that playing the second fiddle is the easiest. But there are times only the second fiddle will be played, because the first fiddle will go silent. And he believed in that. See, he had three surprises in his life. The first surprise was when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh asked, Prime Minister Narasimha Rao asked P.C. Alexander to contact Manmohan Singh to be ready to be sworn in as the finance minister in '91. That was his first surprise of his life. We have heard about it. His daughter has written about it. The second surprise, I think none of us will remember, is when Sitaram Kesari was made the Congress president after Narasimha Rao resigned. And of all the people he chose in the Congress Working Committee, it was Dr. Manmohan Singh. Dr. Manmohan Singh was brought into the highest decision-making body of the Congress by Sitaram Kesari. You know what was the reason? Kesari said, "I need somebody who will be able to show the dictum that Caesar's wife should be above suspicion." And the third surprise was when Sonia Gandhi chose him. But things were made easier for Manmohan Singh because that was the first term, and it was supported by the left parties. To begin with, Manmohan Singh had a very clear, course of kind of a chart that was set by the minimum common program. Left had insisted on a minimum common program, and that was there before him. But he knew there are areas where the common minimum program cannot reach, and where the wisdom will be left to him by the Congress party as well as by the supporting parties. That was economy. That he took. But he added on one more area, which was foreign policy, which Sheela Bhatt beautifully explained. The role played by him, by his decision to go with clarity. Now, having said this, I knew that as the years progressed, in the first term, there was less of a scam and less of a problem, and a lot of the big changes we are talking about today, Manrega and all those pro-poor programs, were largely decided by the common minimum program. And his job was to transform it into a policy decision which was easier. Because of so many inputs coming, of course, you had the Sonia Gandhi-led National Advisory Council. But somewhere down the line, Manmohan Singh realized there were others around Sonia Gandhi who were bigger powers than actually Sonia Gandhi would want to influence. He accepted that. But post-2009, that is when left was no longer the scene, things really began to go haywire. That's the time when all these things cropped up. Some of the things that began in the first term, hit the ceiling in the second term. But Manmohan Singh, knew that the limitations were there. And he was willing to accept. See, the biggest quality about Manmohan Singh was he accepted whatever was the situation, and somehow he had to work it. See, very few people can be in that position. See, when Narasimha Rao was chosen to lead the government by Sonia Gandhi, Narasimha Rao was not a type who would play any fiddle. He would rather sing his own flute. So there, that is how. And Narasimha Rao would not oblige Sonia Gandhi by visiting 10 Janpat. But Manmohan Singh had no qualms about it. His belief was, he knew what his role was, and he was willing to play that, but he had a larger thing. He wanted to leave behind a legacy. Today we are talking about that legacy. That is, Manmohan Singh truly played the role of a Karma Yogi. He was willing to give up his ego. He didn't bother who praised him, who did not praise him. Even when Kesari made him the chairman of the Economic and Foreign Cell, under which Jairam Ramesh used to function. I have had a lot of interaction with Dr. Manmohan Singh on economic policies. He would be willing to provide primer on many issues. See, there were many issues which we didn't understand. He would be willing to explain. This is the thing. So he had a lot of clarity. So if under Narasimha Rao, he played a stellar role, that was because he believed in the direction given by Narasimha Rao, and he always credited the economic reforms to Narasimha Rao, and that he was only an executioner. But in the second, as the Prime Minister, he knew he had understood the system very well, having stayed too long in the system. When somebody stays too long in the system, he gets an advantage to rectify things that have to be rectified. But he also knew that Congress party had certain limitation by its very nature of its organization, and which he had to go with it. There was no other go. But his regret was probably later years that he could have acted more. And finally, Navika, today of all people, Anna Hazare has issued a statement saying that Dr. Manmohan Singh truly fought against corruption. I think that's the best tribute coming from a man who led India's largest anti-corruption movement.
Absolutely, India against corruption. And I completely agree with the point that you said, Shekhar, and Sheela also spoke about it. The fact is, look at the irony of life. Look at the irony of life. Sonia Gandhi appointed Narasimha Rao as the Prime Minister, and then how they fell out, how when Narasimha Rao died, what the Congress did to him is part of folklore. But then Dr. Manmohan Singh had worked very well with P.V. Narasimha Rao, worked very well with Sonia Gandhi, actually straddled both worlds and kept his relations absolutely fantastically when it existed with Narasimha Rao and then later on with Sonia Gandhi. And that's the kind of man Dr. Manmohan Singh was. He knew his limitations, and the fact that you said he knew his limitations. One of those press conferences when he said coalition dharma on 2G, when he was asked questions, Sheela Bhatt, you wouldn't have forgotten that particular press conference, and he admitted coalition dharma made him do a few things to look the other way. It was the most candid confession ever.
A lot of the flack.
Manmohan Singh, in that sense, his... Hello?
Yes, Sheela.
Yeah. So, Navika, a very interesting thing for a reporter was that Manmohan Singh was very accessible and he was quite transparent. What he wanted to do, we could know in advance also, and afterwards also we can also double check things. He was a different kind of a Prime Minister. And, I always felt this, that we rarely see a personality like Manmohan Singh whose resume can be matched by any other person. He had no competition, because how many people would be RBI governor, also foreign finance secretary, also finance minister, prime minister. He had played many roles, and planning commission vice chairman, planning
Deputy
commission
chairman.
deputy chairman also.